with Tracy in LA. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Dance Journey. Today we have Kristen Shaffer. And I'm so excited to have her on the podcast today because I actually haven't seen her in a long time.
I know, it's been a minute.
Yeah. We used to take class at C-Spot a lot together. Mostly, Christian's and Zach's.
I've actually more Christian when I have the courage. Zach, I've only done a couple times. I think my timing has not been good because it's always his second round, and that doesn't help my confidence at all.
Yeah.
But I do want to get back into his class because both of them have the most amazing warm-up. It is so thorough and yummy, and just it's like a dancer's warm-up. They really don't miss anything.
And the music is nice.
Oh, it's great.
I like it.
It's great. And honestly, if I just did the warm-up in each of those classes and I was done, I'm a happy girl.
You'd be like, I'm good. I can go home. I'm relaxed.
Like, if they wanted to even just provide, like, a stretch warm-up class, like, I can only imagine how many people would be into that.
If you guys are listening, Zach or Kristen, and probably many people would like a full stretch and warm-up.
I'd be all about
Hour and a half, hour 15.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
I mean, we should be doing that for ourselves every day. But the fact of the matter is, like, you just don't do it unless you're in a class.
Unless you're in a class. It's so much better in a class for some reason.
Yeah, the vibe, the energy, the teacher, the music, the ambiance,
It's nice to have other people around, even though you kind of are in your own world.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys are watching or listening, this is C-Spot, which is in Mid-City, technically. I always say Culver City.
I know, I almost said Culver.
I don't know. It's near Culver City.
It's off of Fairfax.
It feels like Culver City in Washington. And this is Zach Pinto and Christian. Christian teaches contemporary Monday nights. Zach teaches a mixture, sometimes contemporary, sometimes jazz on Tuesday nights. So if you guys are interested, we love those classes. But I haven't gone in a while because my schedule changed around. But we used to take class a lot together.
I would say also it's intermediate advanced.
Oh, yes.
I would say I'm like beginner intermediate. Like I definitely, it's my edge. Sometimes I fall off that cliff really quick. But it's the choreography, beautiful.
Yeah.
So talented. So talented.
Beautiful and challenging.
Yes.
So she's correct. Definitely at least intermediate. But yeah, that's how we met. We used to take class a lot together, and then I haven't seen her for a while, and I got to come. I always see her stuff on Instagram, and she's always posting from this one studio, Flow Motion Studio.
Right.
And it's on the west side, and I wanted to try this beginning contemporary class. I mean, it wasn't like super beginning, actually. I don't know.
You know what I appreciate is how slow and thorough she is about teaching the movements. The warm-up is very fluid. It's very much, we were talking about this at the start of class about improvising. So her warm-up is exactly that. Nobody's looking at you, but she does an analogy of having your feet in the sand and drawing circles. And so she very slowly warms up your body, which is a different way, I would say. I've never had another class approach the beginning in class. Usually it's like a quick warm-up and then you're into the choreography, but she does really kind of like ease you into movement.
Yeah, that was nice. I've had a little more of that lately. So who we're talking about, her name is Danielle DeLeon. Do you know how to say her last name?
DeLeon.
DeLeon. Oh, that's probably what it is.
I don't know. I'm just trying to sound really sophisticated
French, or
I
don't know. So her name is Danielle. She teaches at Flow Motion Dance Studio, and this is on the west side, and it's Sunday at 1 p.m.
Yeah, 1 to 2:30.
Yeah, a full hour and a half, so that was really nice.
In Westwood, yeah.
And I just thought she was such a good teacher. You know what I really liked about her? First of all, her choreography was really fun and good musicality, but then she picked out specific things that we weren't doing exactly as she envisioned and correcting them. I need more teachers to do that because I think I'm doing what they told me to do, and then I watch the video and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look like them exactly. But she was like, oh, guys, I have my arms a little more in the middle, not so close. Or she's like, oh, this part is supposed to be sharper. But she'll like notice we're doing it a little bit different from her, and she'll point it out, and I'm like, that's what I need. And then I need to work on applying those notes.
Right.
Because then I'm trying to think about the note and I forget the choreography, but that's what I need to work on. So I just thought she was great. I wish I was lived closer.
Yeah, she's definitely a favorite for me. Her musicality is very unique and beautiful, and just I think that's what I appreciate so much about choreographers is their creativity and their interpretation of the music. And that to me is like the most rewarding part.
Yeah.
And then also then getting to dance it. But I think that part of it is just such a special, like everyone has their own special sauce on music. So I look forward to that every week because everything I've learned from her has been so fun to dance.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. I'm like, could I drive an hour and a half every Sunday for this?
The thing is, when you find your favorite, like when you find someone that really resonates with what you like to do, you find a way. You will always find an excuse in either direction for whatever it is that you want to do. So when I know that I like kind of like Angel Haas at Z Spot, who I really love, her choreography just fits my body really well.
You always look so good doing her choreography.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I love her musicality as well and her interpretation, and it's just fun. Like, I was saying in one of my recent posts that I really like myself in her class.
Yeah, that's such a good feeling to I like to feel like her choreography is good for you. It's like it fits what you like in your style. This is Angel. She also teaches at C Spot. Mondays before Christians.
Correct, at 6:45. And so my point about what you're talking about with because traffic in LA is such a beast.
It is.
I live on the west side in Santa Monica, and getting to Fairfax off the 10, God, we sound like an SNL skit. But getting to Fairfax off of the 10 at 6, it's rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan. Like, I don't like it. I don't like who I am in the car. I have to find a really good podcast or like a good playlist because sitting in the car and just like all the way there, it's nauseating sometimes. But I love her so much that I'm committed to making it work. So I want her to know that. She knows.
Yes,
she knows.
Angel.
I'm there every week.
Oh my gosh. I need to have her on this too.
You
I
should.
love Angel, and I've been to her class a few times too. But yeah, that was it's a rough time when you're coming from somewhere where there's a lot of traffic. But yeah, it's a great class. And is it street jazz still? Is that still what it's called? Okay, so that's what it's called when I went to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a really great teacher as well.
Also tons of musicality. Like, I love when the dancing tells a story. Which I feel like she does a lot through her movement.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's
fun.
That's so cool. Okay, so Kristen, we kind of talked already about some of the classes you take. So tell me a little more about what does your current dance life look like? Are you working during the day and racing to a dance class, or what are you doing? I don't know what you do.
Yeah, no, that's actually $1 million question for me. I'm not working right now. I like to refer to myself as a lady of leisure.
Ooh, I love that.
Just a little background for me. I have worked in tech since 2000.
Oh, wow.
That makes me very old if you do the math.
No, that's great.
But I have, and I started at Yahoo, so I was there for
cool.
18 years. And then I had a couple stints at Hulu, Nextdoor, YouTube, and Google was the last one. Yeah.
Wow, check out your resume. That's pretty good.
I know.
Are they all here?
They are. They do have satellite offices here. So I grew, so the whole tech thing didn't really start until I was in college, like email and all that kind of stuff. I had a flip phone in the early 2000s.
I had one.
But, so for me, I had more of a, I guess, which one is the creative, the right brain or the left brain?
Oh, I always forget. I think it's
right. Is it right brain? I can't remember.
I don't know. I'm going to say the wrong one. We have 50-50 chance, but I still don't know.
The one that you're corporate and whatever and like a robot. I was that for so long. And so I've always needed to find an outlet for me that makes me feel like the most fulfilled version of myself.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I just think there's a lot to be said about moving energy through your body, self-expression, obviously for your health. But I've always, always, always loved dance. So for me right now, because I am a lady of leisure, there are weeks where I've taken up to 9 classes.
Nice.
You know, like 2 in a day. It's not sustainable. There's like, like the following week I might take like 2 because I'm so tired. You might actually take more dance classes than me. I feel like we're neck and neck.
I used to, well, when I was a lady of leisure, I didn't call it that, but I guess we could. When I did that, when I didn't have my day job for like 8 or 9 months, I was probably taking 10 or so classes. But honestly, I was taking up to that with my job before.
Dang.
But it's a lot. But it is crazy. I mean, I did it, but it is crazy whether you have a job or not.
Well, I jokingly say that, like, when I was at a studio for a long time, I would call it my work, my fake work.
Yeah.
And when people would ask me what I do for a living, I'm like, I'm a professional dance class taker.
That's literally what I did too.
That's hilarious.
One of my friends introduced me to someone as like, do you know she takes dance classes for her job?
Oh my God, if that was a job, I would be so good at it.
I'm like trying to make it my job somehow, incorporate it.
Yeah, how could we reverse the funds from going out of our bank account towards dance classes? And, you know.
I think that's when people hire you for dance, I guess. But that's not the same as a dance class.
You know what I think what we're missing in this world? You know how there's like food critiques? Mm-hmm. I want to be a dance class, like, I don't want to say critique, but I want to just take all the dance classes and write reviews.
I think you could. You could just do it. This girl I just interviewed recently, she lives up in Northern California, and she kind of did that. She started like a website, and she started writing about all the different studios, because it just started off with her just like taking tons of classes.
Really?
But then people just started asking her because she knew about all the different studios and teachers.
See, I do that with you. I ask you and Bridget. I'm like, where are you guys going?
And you know too. So like, you could just start, I mean, it'd probably be years and years of trying to eventually make money from it, but you can probably do it.
I know. When you find a great class, like, to me it feels so good. I'm just like, take all my money, just take all of it. I had such a good time.
Yeah, like, you already paid for it. You're like, here's the rest of my bank account. That was such a good class.
Yeah. No, but honestly, like, I feel like dance is my addiction. You know, I know there's a stigmatism with the word addiction, but I really, literally am addicted to dance class. Like, I would feel so sad if I went a week without taking something.
Yeah.
Because it's just so energizing and it makes you feel so good. It's such a good confidence booster, you know, when, depending on the class, because sometimes they're so uphill, like, you kind of, you know, don't feel the best about yourself if you didn't remember the moves. And I think that for me is like the hardest part. Mm-hmm. This could be another podcast topic, but like perimenopause is a real thing, and memory and all that stuff. Okay. Like, I like to blame it on that, because for me in the last year, that's what's really hit me as my challenge. Because I never had that problem before. I could pick up choreography so quick. You could show it me one time and I would do it, and now I'm like, I need that like 10 times, please. Like, can you do it?
But I really appreciated today that you were like, can we do it from the beginning again?
Yeah.
Can we do it? I was like, oh, I like that. I like Kristen. She's just saying what we need, and I need it too.
You know
so
what? You got squeaky wheel gets the oil. You gotta speak up, because the thing is, when you drill like a part of a dance, great, now you have that part, but like, what did you do for the 4-8 counts before that?
Right.
Because I just forget.
Well, I love the teachers that remember to tell us to remind us of the transition, because sometimes they'll drill a certain part so much, but they didn't really drill the transition from the part before, and you're like, wait. And then they try to put it all together, and you're like, and then they realize, oh wait, everyone didn't understand how that came after. So yeah, you really, it's better to do it all together.
Yeah, it truly is a science. And I'll tell you, one of the choreographers that I really love his teaching style is Brandon Anthony.
You told me about this guy.
He's so great.
Already. Didn't you send me a message?
Maybe. I don't know. Bridget's taken his class too.
Why were we talking about him?
He teaches like pop video. He did at LA Dance Fit. I think he has his own thing in downtown LA now. But the way he just had such a great formula for teaching choreography in a way that everybody was going to get it. It didn't matter. Nice. Like, he was so good at teaching it, going through the music, and then breaking it down again as if he was teaching it for the first time after he already showed you. So it was repetition, and it was just, his formula worked great, and I always felt like $1,000,000.
But he's not teaching right now? Okay.
I haven't seen him on the schedules, at least at LA.
You are the one, I'm just remembering that you were telling me about him. I never actually took him.
I was just
vividly remembering you telling me about him.
I probably never told this man enough, but I really loved him. And I actually, when you take his class, you feel like you just got recorded filming a pop video for an artist.
That's
that's
awesome.
how, and he was just so succinct and great, and I really enjoyed him for sure. So yeah, the ones that like take it real slow and easy, and just the repetition for me is really huge for me right now. I didn't need that when I was in my 20s and 30s, but now, like, you know, in the back half of my 40s, like I need more repetition. That's just where I'm at. And
I mean, I always love when teachers do repetition. I always love when they notice certain parts we're struggling with. Like even today, there was that specific sort of faster part with a lot of musicality. And I loved how you were like, I'm going to need to drill that a few times. I mean, I was feeling that too. And I like when teachers kind of notice, oh, this is a trickier part. Let's go over it a bunch. But then also put it back with everything soon, you know. So a question for you with it. So obviously it feels so good to leave a class feeling like you're a pop star or a backup to a pop star. But when you were talking about when you leave a class where you're kind of like, we're still struggling at the end because there was such long choreography or it was really hard, do you feel like, oh, I can't wait to take class again tomorrow and like redeem myself? Or do you feel like, do you get discouraged where you're like, oh, why am I even doing this? Like what's your emotion when you're feeling, when you leave a class like that?
I mean, does that line up with your moon cycle? I don't know.
It depends.
I feel like that has to be a contributing factor. I felt both, but I really, really love when I know that there's a second chance to be able to dance it. And so once you've learned the initial choreography, you've gotten it into your body, then the next time you show up to class, you have an idea of what's going to happen, and you know you can nail it. Like I know that when I have that opportunity, I know that I'll show up, and it'll be more fun. I love second runs. They're my favorite.
Now, did you go to Zach's enough to get first round and second round?
I've only been to his class twice.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. But I also like watch the videos and I get a little scared because he does a lot of tricks.
Don't watch the videos. I feel like I went to his class for so long, and I'll watch a video now and be like, oh, that looks so hard. I'm like, wait, Tracy, you can do it. I think the videos can be scary.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, you know, like the teacher today kind of showed us the choreo before she taught it to us. But I think sometimes it's nicer when the teacher doesn't show doesn't like do the whole dance, because then you don't even know what you're getting yourself into. You're just like, okay, I'm on the ride. We'll see.
I'm just saying, like watching someone post their video and I'm like, dang, that looked really hard.
Yeah.
Like, could I do that? I don't know.
But like, if you don't think about it like that, but you just go.
Yeah. And
you didn't see it, you know. But you have to go to round one.
Right. No, so that's my mentality. I feel like before I go to his class, I always need to check in with a regular and say, hey, are you round one or round two? Because it might discourage my, you know, whether I want to jump into a round two, which it can be really hard. Meaning, everybody knows what that means if they're listening or watching your podcast, you know, having the opportunity to have learned it at least once before coming back.
Yeah. In case anyone that doesn't go to dance classes happens to be listening to this, it's like 1 week they teach you this choreography, and then it's like the next week they teach it again.
A little bit faster too.
Usually a little faster, but you've already learned it. Most people have already learned it once, but like Kristen was saying, sometimes she would come and it's a round 2 week, like it's a second week, and she never learned it the first time.
And then it just makes you feel extra dumb.
It's hard. But I know, I'm the same when I show up at a class like that, but at the same time, I have to remind myself, like, Tracy, this is your round 2, or this is your round 1. Right. Just like give yourself grace and just, you know, it's actually a very good challenge, you know, but you might not get as good of a video, and that's just life, and it's fine. I sometimes struggle. I'm like, the videos that I record, they're for me. You know, I love being able to see my progress and see where I've come, especially with a new teacher, or even just to capture the art of what they've created. To me, I love it. Yeah. You know, they're like souvenirs from class. Yeah, me too.
So I really enjoy that. But I sometimes, you know, when we like blast it out on social media, part of me is like, I'm sure people are so over these dance classes, but then the other part is like, I don't care. It's not for you, it's for me.
I go through the same.
It's like my diary. It's my dance diary.
Me too. I literally said that on one of the last podcasts I just shot. I said the same thing. I was like, I know it's a lot of videos, but I like to have like a growth diary. So I can kind of look back sometimes. I mean, I'm sure gets boring for people, but whatever. It's really for me, and if they want to peek in every now and then, they can.
It's voyeuristic or whatever. It's my dance diary, and I'm happy to share it. Because we didn't have this when I first moved to LA in 2006. we didn't have the technology that we have.
Yeah.
We didn't record anything.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know you were asking a little bit about my schedule now. And just for, my experience, I'm one of those people that started so late. Like, I just, growing up, I came from a divorced family, so there was no real opportunity for a ton of extracurricular activities. So in a way, I know that I'm reparenting myself a little bit right now in allowing myself to take all of these dance classes that I wish I could have taken as a kid. Because I was that kid where my friends would get to take all the classes, and then on the playground, I'm like, show me what you learned. And we would, or we would create our own routines and in the living room. So that was like the only accessibility I had was friends who took class, and if they wanted to show me on the playground the next day, they would. But I didn't really start taking like classes in a studio until, I don't know that this really counts. There was, I feel bad for saying this, but it was like in 8th grade, and a woman who was teaching dance out of her home, she was pregnant and she also had a toddler, so she was not really there.
Okay.
Like, we were kind of left to our own devices.
Yeah.
There was a mirror there. We might have learned some tondus. It was called Bonnie's Askew's Creative Dance. So,
Okay.
it was very 80s. It was like, we may have done like an MC Hammer performance at the rec center one year. So I don't really count that because it wasn't like very professional or whatever. But to me, the class where it felt very, you better pay attention, and the teacher was kind of strict. There was a woman that taught tap. Oh my God, her name's escaping me right now. But I took tap with my dad.
Oh, cool.
My sophomore year in high school. I was like too old at that point to be with all the girls my age because they've been taking it since 5. So I got into tap, and to me it came so easily.
Wow.
Like,
I didn't know you were a
love
tapper.
Tap so much. Like, it's on my to-do list of finding a new studio and a teacher.
Me too, because I actually love tap too. I mean, I don't have a ton of experience with it, but it hasn't been in my regular schedule in a while, and I've been totally missing it. So if you find anything good, let me know.
Okay. Yeah. It's just like the one I found conflicts with Angel's class, and so I'm like so committed to it.
Tap is a little harder to find in LA. It's out there, but when you have a schedule already, it's to find something that fits, and it's hard.
Yeah. I want to get something into rotation there because I do miss it. I had such a natural knack for it that also one of those things I would take and felt really good about myself. But the ones that I would find around LA weren't, I don't know, I wasn't finding anything that was like right. And I feel like I'm kind of like, I don't know if you're a skier. I like the green lines. So there's a green line is just kind of like you just cruise.
Okay.
Blue and like black, like you're going down a diamond and it's hard. I just like to enjoy myself. Like I'm I'm like gonna be 47 in a week.
Woo!
I'm not. Thank you. I'm not trying to like try out for a Broadway performance or something. Like I just want to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
So it's finding, in LA, it's finding the right teacher that like you don't feel like you can just enjoy yourself and have a good time and take what they've created and perform it that way. But what I was going to say is that, so cut to my wedding, back in 2012, my dad and I, when he was alive, we did a father-daughter tap dance.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Is that
cute.
on your Instagram
It's
somewhere?
not. I should find it.
You should, do a throwback.
Okay, I will. The one thing, and I'm not too ashamed to admit this, is that because we were outside, it was in Hawaii, the flooring, I feel like, wasn't true wood, so you couldn't hear our taps very well.
Oh, okay.
So we totally had a tap overlay with the music. And in my mind, I'm like, if I'm going to have a glass of champagne, I also don't want to make sure that I'm, like, hitting the sounds, like, it just took the pressure off a little bit. So it was, like, tap syncing, like lip syncing.
Oh,
but it was,
that's
like, tap
funny.
syncing. And plus I had a long dress that I had to try and cinch up, so I feel like you couldn't see some of the intricate moves anyways. I'm like, as long as you hear it. I mean, but
that's hilarious.
I will say it was us tapping in that tap sync.
Yeah.
But just, just to keep us.
So people could, so it would be perfect and so people could hear it.
Right, could hear it. And I didn't, have to worry about like.
Yeah, it's like your wedding.
Yeah,
like I know sometimes I think, well, first of all, I don't really have any interest in getting married anymore, but I used to. And I used to think it would be fun to do a choreographed dance that you planned, but I'm like, do I want to be stressing about that on my wedding day?
Yeah, no, you don't. And I actually did kind of a goofy version with my husband, like with the fish and like reeling him in and doing
That's
a couple
cute.
but it wasn't. He's not a dancer.
Okay.
He has like zero. My husband Zach, bless him. He has like 2 left feet. I took him roller skating when we were dating, and I'm one of those people like, if I got a pair of roller skates, I know that I would crush it. Like that's the other thing I want to find is like the roller
they
skate.
have roller skate dance classes.
I think I've started looking into it.
Yeah.
But I'm looking like, where can I go that's not a million miles away?
Yeah, I think it's at 88 Studios, which is in
really?
North Hollywood.
No, I think I found that.
It looks pretty cool. Yeah. I am not a good skater, so I don't personally have interest, but if you like it.
Right, no, I mean, but I know that I'm coordinated that way, so when we went on our first date, I'm like going backwards, I'm like doing circles around him, and he literally was like clutching the side, and he was like he was doing like the same foot and hand, like he's sweating. And I was like, okay.
That's so funny. My dad is actually, well, I don't know if he still is, but he used to be really good at roller skating. Actually, he and my mom, who are not married anymore and are with different people, but they actually met at a roller skating rink.
Way.
That's how they met. And then I remember going roller skating with my dad when I was little, and I felt like a good roller skater because he was just like pulling me around, and he would like kind of do turns and kind of like I'm like holding the mic, but he would like grab my hands and like do turns so that like I was going around him.
Wow.
Like I wasn't doing anything cool and I could barely skate, but because he was holding my hands and doing all these cool things and he was going backwards and he's doing these things, I'm like, wow, it felt fun to me because he was just pulling me.
Right.
But he's so good.
That
I'm like,
takes a lot of coordination.
why don't I have these genes in me? Because I can't. If I try to ice skate too, I'm like on the wall. I'm like a little kid. I'm like, I'm gonna fall.
I get it.
And with how much I like dance, I'm like, I cannot risk some sort of ankle injury from this thing I don't even like that much.
Yeah, your coordination comes in dance. It's hard.
But I think that's really cool, and I know it's kind of far, but I feel like you should try it.
I know.
If you can't find a closer one.
I will. I have all these like aspirations of things I want to do, and I mean, I'm sure you do this too. You look at your week ahead and you're like, what classes am I going to take? And you just have to like work the rest of your day into it. I mean, I don't have that much to work into. I have to walk my dog. I have to water my plants. I'm living a life of ease right now, and I'm really, really enjoying it. But yeah, so anyways, just to wrap up sort of like my dance history, I really didn't get into it until college, and I had to try out. It was, I went to Chico State up in, it's like past Redding in California, and I had to try out, and I had no experience. I had tap.
So, okay, when you were in college, you just wanted to try out because you like remembered your tap experience?
No, just because I love dance, and I never.
So but you weren't taking dance before that, but you just loved dance.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I should take back. In high school, I did Palm Squad for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
So that was like to be familiarized with learning routines.
Okay.
But that's also very jerky and not like a fluid.
Yeah, a little different.
It's different. So,
but when you say you love dance, how did you think about the way you love dance? Was it just dancing for fun, making up routines with your friends when you were young, or were you thinking about the Palm Squad, or were you thinking about tap with your dad? Like, what were you thinking about?
I just loved moving. I just wanted to move to music, and I just loved dancing that way. And it was just like, I just felt there was so much potential for me to express myself in that way, and I didn't ever have the chance to do it. I mean, I'd signed up for like dance club in high school too, and I remember choreographing a routine with flashlights, and we had them turn all the lights off, and it was my idea to like use flashlights as part of the routine.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I know there's also a part of me that would love to see how I would do in the choreography realm, but I don't know that I have that confidence yet to do it, and it's just like I feel so late in life to be like, I'm gonna give my hand at choreography.
No way. You totally could.
Yeah, so I might. I'm like, there's great programs at SMC, which I actually this semester I'd signed up to take just a beginning contemporary modern because I've never really got the basics. I'm like,
Okay.
I just want to see where I'm at.
Nice.
But when I went to it, it was so slow. It was like watching paint dry.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm surprised, kind of.
And I guess it surprised me because I'm like, because I sat in on an intermediate class and what they were doing in there, I'm like, oh, this is where I should have started. So I wasn't giving myself enough credit.
That's surprising. I would think Santa Monica College would, because you go to like a regular class, and if it's called beginner, sometimes it's not even really beginner.
Right. Yeah, no, this was so beginner that like it took, I think, 2 weeks to do a box step.
Oh gosh. Okay.
You would die.
So that wasn't for you.
You would have died. I was like, I
be like, I'm dropping out of this.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not that patient. And I know it's a progressive class and like it takes time to build up. But I was like, this 2 hours a day. That's like a lot of time to just walk in a line across the floor. And I have mad respect for this particular professor. She has an amazing background teaching dance at like Debbie Allen, and she's great.
Nice.
For me personally, I needed to start just a tick higher.
Yeah.
And I'd rather be struggling. I'd rather be struggling than to feel bored. Like, I'm not doing any service to myself by, like, I was cold. I was like cold in class for 2 weeks, and I'm like, I just want to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
just
get warm.
Yeah, it was. I'm fine tuning, but now I know what teacher I'll want to take when I go back, and I talk to the intermediate advanced teacher, and it was just too late to hop into her class at the point because they had already memorized all these different, like, all their warm-ups and the routines were beautiful and fun to watch, and like what I could catch on, but I know that I would have excelled if I'd started from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to start like that. And also it was an additional day, so it was like a Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and they're 2-hour classes, like right in the middle of the day. So it would have been great if I did it now because I'm not committed.
Yeah, I'm like right now you can do it.
It's fine. I'll try again in this spring. But
That's such a cool idea, though, to kind of get a different... I thought about that before, too, with just like... Well, I did take dance at the community college in Pasadena a while back. Like when I first started getting into dance more in a more committed way. I actually started at the community college because, well, Santa Monica College is probably a little more of an advanced situation, at least with like the intermediate classes, but this was more of a... One of the classes was kind of intense, but most of them were kind of pretty easy and beginner. Yeah. So... I was afraid to go to the LA dance studio, so I started there.
Okay.
But quickly, I mean, I finished those classes, but quickly I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to go to a studio. Like, this is actually kind of too slow, kind of like what your experience was.
Right.
But then even with starting with studios, I definitely started in beginner classes and like.
Yeah, I don't ever want to like. I'd rather it. Walk into it and have some like, I don't know, I just don't want to overestimate myself sometimes. I'd rather just start a tick below just to make sure. But I've walked into this, like, C-spot classes, and I'm like, I'm that lady that like sits out at the end because I just can't remember the moves anymore. So I know what that feels like, and so I think that's why I started I undercut myself a little bit because I didn't want to feel like, like completely incompetent in class.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently I just didn't give myself enough credit.
But so you definitely had dance experience because you were in the dance club in high school and you even choreographed something.
Yeah, I mean once.
That's
I did like one
cool.
and then I did, Pom Squad, and then so when I got to college and I tried out, like, you could see all of the dancers who had the lifetime of experience.
Yeah.
But I just loved it so much that I tried, because they don't obviously let everybody in, or you have to try out for different choreographers' pieces to be in. And so as part of, I think I was in like a few numbers for Chico Dance Theater Group, and then I would find studios around my college and I would take classes there, and I just immersed myself in that scene. And I loved it. And so whenever I was done, with college and I got my first job at Yahoo and I moved to the Bay Area, I always found a studio. Like, I would just look for a studio to take classes, and I would my roommate at the time, she'll laugh if she listens to this, but like I would always come home and show her my dance routines.
I used to do that too.
You did?
That's so fun. When
Yeah.
I took one class a week in college for like one semester. So I went to school outside of Chicago.
Okay.
And I would drive an hour. I don't even know why I decided to do this because I wasn't super into dance. I guess I liked dance. I
Yeah.
don't remember. But I would drive just on Fridays all the way to the city, take my one hip hop class, come home and like teach my roommates.
Aw.
Every week I think I did. I remember we were right in front of like our kind of like our patio with our clear glass door, and I'm like, are the other apartments like watching us? But like they loved it, and I love teaching them. So it just
Yeah.
reminds me of that.
Yeah, it just brings me so
fun.
much joy. I just remember feeling like, oh, I didn't want that hour to end. I'm going to come home and show my...
Yeah, you just get to relive it. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like what we do on Instagram now.
Right,
But
exactly.
that back then when we weren't doing that
Yeah.
on social media, it was fun to keep reliving it.
Right.
Like, I'm going to do it again.
Yeah,
I'm going
that's
to show
such a
my
good
roommates.
point.
I want to show different people.
Yeah.
And, you know, or when I lived with my parents, it's like doing it for them
Yeah.
or just, you know. Yeah.
Right. We were live Instagramming.
Yeah.
back then.
we were so cool Instagramming live, but not Instagram Live.
Right.
Isn't there something called Instagram Live?
Oh, I
Or
don't
is that
know. I
Facebook
just
Live?
meant,
I
you
don't
know,
even know.
pre-technology. and just-
Social media.
Yeah.
We did things in person,
Yeah.
and it was harder because we couldn't edit it.
Right. No.
It's just like it was just real and raw. It was
Exactly.
good.
Exactly.
So fun.
Yeah. So, anyways, I've just always found studios, you know, throughout wherever I was living, and I've taken breaks. You know, obviously when I had my baby 10 years ago, like I don't remember dancing at all. And then I would just try and find things, you know, things that would come up. And,
Yeah.
right now, I've probably never danced more than I'm dancing right now. Though.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely dancing a lot. How do you? So, I mean, you got married and had a family, and then you said you took a little break, but then was it pretty easy to get back into like, oh, now I do classes on these days
You
or
know,
something?
so when I was working, I would just take like the same class every week. I feel like it was once a week.
Okay.
I used to take from Tiffany Moore Simmons at More Dancing in Brentwood.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic.
Okay.
And it was more of a hip hop class, and then I would also throw in some lyrical classes, but it was nothing like what I'm doing now, where I feel like I'm just on the hunt for, you know, new classes and new teachers, and really just immersing myself physically, because, you know, I'm in a mindset of, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. You know, as you get older, things get a little bit more achy, and the only thing to combat that is movement for me.
Yeah.
So,
to keep doing
and
it.
also, you know, stimulate mentally, like the memorization and
Yeah.
all that. Like, I feel like this is the best way of my own healthcare.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like there's so many statistics and research about
Oh, for
dance
sure.
because it's the brain and the body.
Yeah, actually, there's an article or something that says that, for memory, I was joking that it's like my version of taking lion's mane, because lion's mane mushroom is supposed to be good for, neurologically, like remembering things. And so, yeah, it's super good for you. No, that's what I was going to remember. I think the New York Times said it's more challenging than a crossword puzzle, like just for mentally
that
stimulating.
Makes sense. I think because it's just like your whole body, and it's the challenge, the type of challenge it is.
Right, yeah, and the memory in particular, for sure.
So you were in college, and you got to do a few numbers in like the show, or
I did,
whatever.
yeah. I have them on VHS tape somewhere.
That's so cool.
They're probably deteriorating in my closet somewhere.
I know. I have stuff on VHS from when I was young and things I performed, and I really want to do one of those things where you get it put on
It's
like
been
digital.
on my list forever. Yeah.
It would be so cool to have, but a lot of them are in my parents' house in Illinois. And there's a lot.
And they
I'm
deteriorate, so you kind of have to do that.
I know, I'm like, I probably need to check on that.
Yeah, they're not meant to last. So just to
Yeah.
digitize them. I know there's a place in LA that I like bookmarked, and I'm like, I gotta just bring everything over there and. Just,
Okay, yeah. Tell me how that goes.
I will. It's called iMemory or something, and because
Okay.
I signed up for it, I get like an email a week about it, and I haven't done it yet.
You're like, I'm not going to forget this place.
Yeah.
They keep emailing me.
But also, I think you have to buy. This is what irks me. When you do it, you also have to buy storage to keep it, depending on how much you have. So I don't know if you can just download it and keep it on your computer.
Storage is so confusing to me.
Me
I've had to
too.
do so much with that, and I learn as much as I need to learn for the next thing I need to do, and then I don't know what's going on. I don't understand the cloud. I have it. I think I pay for extra of it, but I'm not really sure.
It's kind of messed up because, you know, we bought like 2 terabytes of storage, and I'm like, we're never going to need to use that. But then I'll get a notification from Apple saying you're running out of storage.
Me too.
And I'm like, but what are you talking about? Our iCloud's huge, you know? But where they get you is how much storage you have on your phone or your laptop. It's at capacity. So you can never actually download how much storage you have on your iCloud.
Exactly.
So
I had to get a new phone because my actual phone ran out of storage. And I was like, can I buy more storage for this phone? They're like, no, you have to buy a new phone. I was like, what? I'm like so confused.
Yeah. Okay. So honestly, a part of me, one of the things I want to do in my downtown is just make photo books and go old school. You know, just print, especially because I have a kid and like to remember, because I literally have like, it's embarrassing. I don't even want to say how many photos and videos I have on my phone. But to just download just the highlights of the year, not feel like with this whole iCloud thing that you need to keep everything. Yeah. I don't think we're meant to keep everything and record every single moment.
It is a little crazy.
Yeah.
But it would be so funny if you just decided to do everything with photo albums and not social media, and you just started bringing your photo albums everywhere with you. You're like hanging out with people. You're like, I know I'm not on Instagram, so everyone pass around my photo album. Yeah. Like, that's kind of what we do though with social media now. Right. Can you imagine if this is what we did back then, if we just like carried our photo albums everywhere and just kept handing them out over and over? Like,
I guess growing up though, that's like the yearbook or whatever, but your personal experiences, they just weren't recorded that way. It was just in your brain.
Yeah, you just had to like talk. You just had to tell a story about it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely interesting. Yeah, that was one of the things I was gonna ask you about was social media. Like, but yeah, I think you have the same view as me. It's just like, it is a lot, but it's kind of a cool thing. It's just like, it's your diary. It's your video diary of everything.
Yeah, I love looking back at it and getting to watch things that I've learned, and especially if I loved the number and the music. I also think a big part of taking dance is like the music discovery.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I like, just because I'm not as hip and cool as I was and like was on top of the music scene, because I did work in music.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yahoo moved me down to LA in 2006, and I worked on Yahoo Music Unlimited and Launchcast, which was all like the modern day, you know, Apple iTunes and Spotify, Pandora. Like, we had that technology before.
Oh, cool.
It was an iteration. It's fine. But I moved down here, and I would just know all the latest artists. I would meet them. I got to go to the Grammys a couple times.
Oh, cool.
It was really fun. But now for me to stay like young and hip, I'm going to dance class, and I'm like, who is this artist? I love this. And I'll add it to my playlist. So.
I know, I'm the same. I'm like, oh, I love this song. Or, I mean, that was the first class that I ever taught out here, was because Kristen kept playing this certain song in his warm-up.
Oh,
and every time it came on in the warm-up, I was like,
yeah,
I really want to dance to this song. And I asked him I was like, can you choreograph to that song? But it was like, it wasn't a contemporary piece.
I totally do that too. I'm like, are you guys open for song
suggestions?
Yeah. And there's a great contemporary teacher I love. She changed her time, so I haven't been able to go regularly, but Brooke at LA Dance Fit, they started opening up a contemporary class there, and I just loved everything she was creating and the music that she picked.
I think I saw those. I remember seeing those videos.
Yeah.
So right now, the main studios you take at are let me see if I can guess it. C-Spot, LA Dance Fit, Flow Motion, and then I guess you're taking class at that acro place. What is it called?
I've been testing it out. It's called LA Acro Dancers.
I want to try this at some point. But you made the floor work class sound really hard, so I don't know.
You know, I think it's a really good foundations class to take if you're taking a lot of contemporary, because a lot of the time the choreographers will kind of throw you into a move that you've never done before.
Yes.
So to have familiarity with like doing a back roll over your shoulder, which I did for the first time in Kristen's class. Like, I've never even tried doing it.
Okay.
And so to then go take a contemporary floor work class with Allie, I was like, oh, because she would be like, don't ever look in the other direction that you're rolling, like you could hurt your neck. So you don't think about those things. And when you, just throw yourself into them, it can be kind of dangerous.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point. yeah, I saw that class and I was like, oh, that would be really helpful. And I have taken classes called floor work, but the last class I used to take, which was at Roots in Koreatown.
Okay.
And he was a great teacher, but it was more like a beginner breakdancing than it was for contemporary. Although he was also sort of a contemporary dancer, so it was a little bit sometimes, but it was more like breakdancing moves. But I actually love dancing on the floor.
You do?
But Zach, for instance, at C Spot, he sometimes did so many challenging floor things, and it was very hard for me. But I really like the challenge. I love being on the floor and trying things. So like a class where you're doing that, I love that idea. So when I heard about that class, I was like, I should probably go check that out at some point. And to learn the safety and everything,
right.
too.
I mean, also, there's a lot of people, especially my age, like when you say floor work, like, no thanks. Because, I mean, it hurts. I mean, I always bring my knee pads. It hurts.
So I used to always have to use knee pads for floor work. But then I think at some point I just did it enough that I was able to kind of stop. And I don't really know when that clicked or happened.
I know what you mean. So when you do it enough, you start to know your body and like not throw yourself into things anymore and be a little bit more disciplined.
You do it a little safer, but maybe also, I'm not sure if this is true, but I feel like someone may have told me before that your bones also start to just kind of like adjust for it, where it doesn't like have the same effect of like a million bruises or that it hurts. But maybe it is partly just you're learning how to do it more.
Yeah. No, but that makes sense. Like the more you do something, the more your body becomes attuned for it.
It like builds that, I don't know, bone or muscle or something.
Yeah.
But yes. So, but yeah, definitely I did start to have to wear long sleeves on the floor work class because I'm like, oh my gosh, my elbows are hurting from these weird things we're doing. And like,
yeah. So the other thing that I've also been focusing on doing is taking stretch classes. Gina at Flow Motion's really great. I really like her. She's Wednesday at 10. She hits all the spots. And
10 a.m.
Yeah, I think 10 or 10:30. I think they're working on the time. But to sit and just dedicate an hour towards all these like really good yummy stretches that you just wouldn't think to do at home. Feels good. Because I always say, I'm like, oh, I'll sit in a splits while I watch TV. I never do that. I never stretch while I'm watching television. It just doesn't happen.
I think about that too sometimes when I'm just like in my bed watching something. I'm like, I should go on the floor and like do a stretch while I'm doing this, but why do I want to do that? I don't know. Even though I do, I actually love stretching, and I love stretching in class. And I will, if I specifically am like, I'm getting up early to stretch, like I will sometimes. But yeah, when you're watching something, it's like,
just tune out.
I don't know why I can't also like, put my leg out. And like.
That's kind of why classes, I feel like, are so invigorating, because you can't just check out. You have to, you're being super present, and you're now committed. You've committed yourself to working your body out.
Yeah. I saw this meme recently or something where somebody was like, I have high respect for the girl in my yoga class that paid whatever money to lay on the floor for 60 minutes and do nothing. Like, I don't know, it's just like a joke, but I was like, that is funny though, because some classes will have you kind of just lay on the floor for a couple minutes. And sometimes I'm like, oh, can we just stay here? I think I would pay to just be in the class and lay on the floor for the whole class.
Well, that's what yoga actually really is about. Like, all the movement is so that you can lay still, so you can meditate.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's actually the perfect.
Maybe I should do. I know, I used to do yoga a little bit, but I always liked faster pace. Well, maybe now I'm different because now I want to lay on the floor. But back then, at least, I'm like, oh, this is too slow for me. I want to like be up.
Well, there's also varying degrees of yoga as well. I mean, yin yoga is stretching, and then you've got the asana. So now that I think of it, like a big period of my time when I was away from dance, it was all yoga.
Oh, okay. I did so you were still like yoga, building your body and doing things,
just moving it in a different way.
Yeah. Now, how does dance fit with like your family? Do they get like excited about your videos, or do you get to can you perform for them at home or like?
No. I mean, we might have some dance parties periodically in the kitchen, but no. They know that it makes me feel good. It's just like the thing that I do to take care of myself. I don't perform for them. I did do actually a performance with LA Dance Fit last year, and so they came and supported me.
I know that LA Dance Fit. Didn't Lily from C Spot?
Did she?
I think she also did a performance with them before. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I've heard about like how they do different like teams or performances.
They do, and I did a contemporary and I did a contemporary and a lyrical last year, and it was a lot of rehearsal. The rehearsals were on the same day on Sunday, so I had like 12 to 4. And it was the first time I've ever physically committed to that much.
Yeah, 4 hours in a row.
I was broken.
Oh my gosh.
And the owner is very smart. She put a massage place next door.
Nice.
So I was like hitting both sides.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun day though.
Oh.
At the end, you probably felt like so
I have to
accomplished.
say, Lisa at Soul Spa is amazing.
Okay.
She's so good. She just knows the body. You know when you find somebody who just gets the body?
Okay.
She's great. I love her.
And she's right next to LA Dance Fit?
At
Okay,
Soul
it's good
Spa.
to know. Okay.
I think she's there on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Okay. You really know it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. I want to perform soon. I want to.
You should.
So have you heard of LA Unbound?
No, what's that?
It's more out my way in Pasadena, but yeah, it's an organization that basically they usually do 2 shows a year. It's for adult dancers, and there's some that just dance for fun. There's some that are more professional, but they hold auditions, and maybe this is like kind of how they did it when you were in school maybe, but basically the different choreographers will show a little part of their pieces, and they give you like these sheets, and you get to mark like which ones you're interested in auditioning for.
Okay.
And like how many you're like, I'll be in 1 piece, or I'll be in up to 3. I don't think you can put more than that.
Yeah.
And then you just audition all day, and all the choreographers watch all the different styles of auditions.
Yeah.
And then they coordinate to try to cast everyone. Like,
That's nice.
it's not guaranteed. Like, if you only put one, like this is the only one, then you might not get it. But as long as you put like a good amount that you're okay with, they really try to cast everyone.
That's cool.
It's such a good like community vibe, and then they do like a pretty big they usually have a pretty nice venue, and they do a performance. And I haven't done it yet, but I've seen like 10 of their shows, and they're really good.
Go.
I know. The main reason I haven't done it is because I love my class schedule so much. I don't want to compromise anything.
You're right.
But I think I'm finally to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to want to perform. Like, I love class, and normally when I think about performing, I'm like, oh, why do I want to go through that stress? I just like class. But recently I'm like, I kind of want to wear like a costume.
It's
like,
fun.
I kind of want to rehearse something more than only 2 rounds.
Yeah.
That's like, I can actually work on getting my arabesque straighter, and I can actually like get my jump higher by actually practicing it the same thing every week. Like, I'm realizing like, yes, I've gotten better at picking up choreography, but I need to get better at these moves, and if I have to do the same moves at a bunch of rehearsals, I'm probably going to get better. So I'm finally realizing, like, Tracy, you need to perform if you're going to grow. So I'm hoping they're doing a Christmas show, and I didn't audition for it, but then they'll do another show in the spring, and I think auditions are in like February. So I'll probably do it. But yeah, hearing about like, I'm just like, yeah, performing, it's fun once in a while. Like, class is super fun, and usually it's satisfying enough, but like, I think it is a nice extra push to be like, oh, I mean, dance is a performing art.
It is.
So it's like, I think that's part of the reason we post so much, at least for me. It's like, it is for me, but at the same time, it's a performance art.
I was just thinking this the other day.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. So it's like, you're in class, but you're like, yeah, I guess you're performing for the other group, but they're thinking about the choreography, trying to remember it so they can do it in their group. You know, you're not really performing for an audience that's just relaxing watching you. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was gonna say though, you know, it's nice that it sounds like do they give you kind of an idea of what the dance is gonna look like?
Yeah, so
that's what you actually dance to for the performance?
Exactly, which is really nice, because maybe there's certain styles you wouldn't want to do or something, or they're like, this is a heels one, or this one has tons of floor work, and so you're like, okay, maybe not for me, and so you can pick the ones. And they do tap too.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They do like,
perked up.
They do all the styles. And actually, they usually release like the rehearsal schedule and the types of dance before they even hold the auditions. So once in a while there are rehearsals out here. So you just have to find like, oh, this teacher rehearses in this area, that's good for me. They put all that information so you can decide. It's not always about which dance you like the best. Sometimes it's like, oh, they're going to rehearse on Wednesdays, that works for me. And oh, they rehearse in Culver City. Okay, I can audition for that one. So they do sometimes have a couple on the west side, but I just know the majority of the people involved in that organization are more out by Pasadena, which is so nice for me right now, because right now I am just never driving in LA. Today was like the furthest I've driven in LA in a really long time.
Yeah, it makes you
nice.
appreciate getting to stay in your...
I'm like, wow. I mean, I do a little bit miss listening to podcasts more and talking out to my friends that don't live here. I used to always plan phone dates in my car.
Oh, I love
like,
that.
can anyone talk at 5:15 p.m. on when? And it would usually work out. And now my friends that are long distance, it's like so much harder. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Am I gonna just talk to you in my room? I have other stuff to do. Like,
yeah. How funny.
So it is funny. So I mean, commute. It's nice to have a commute sometimes, but it gets pretty luxurious to not have it.
I am not built for commutes. It's just not for me. Even
it
when
makes
I'm
me tired.
It's so tiring.
And especially because it's. I think if we were driving faster.
Yeah.
And it was just like a further distance.
Totally. I'm fine moving.
That would be fine.
But sitting and just like creeping.
The creeping and just like constantly, you're like, it's so boring. So you're just like, I'm like, oh my gosh, Tracy, you're going to get in an accident going 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Because you're just like about to fall asleep.
Right.
So my old job was in Culver City and I live in Pasadena, and it was getting a little dangerous because I'd have to get up pretty early and I would just get so tired in the car.
That is dangerous.
And I'm like, ooh, I need to change. That was one of the reasons I quit, because I didn't want to leave my place. And I'm like, this is...
I mean, even just driving in the city in and of itself is like very challenging and scary. People are in so much of a rush to get where they're going that they're just... And I can't, like...
I feel like that's the case when the traffic is like medium, because the traffic's so stop and go that I'm not usually like, nobody's zipping because they can't. But then when you sometimes are driving in LA at just the right time where it's actually not completely stop and go, and it's like, oh, there's a little bit of space, people are like going crazy because they can finally drive a little faster.
Right.
But then they're driving so fast that I'm like, oh, this is scary.
We literally witnessed someone almost get hit by a car yesterday, just walking our dog, and oh my God, that's kind of, I thought maybe would have been a great thing to have come out of the pandemic, is people slowing down, but people just dove back right into rushing around everywhere again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. I thought, maybe enough people left California or left LA.
Right.
that it'll be better. Because, it really gave you a little bit of hope. Because at first coming back, you're like, oh, look at these roads. This is nice.
No, my favorite time to be here is the holidays, because everybody leaves.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And then I know you're one of the ones with a child, but I know in the summers it would always get a little bit better with kids not in school, which was nice. Gosh, literally, this was so fun that I feel like we only been talking for 10 minutes.
I know, it feels like it was only 10 minutes.
I'm like, what? We didn't even talk about that much. But okay, so kind of to wrap it up, I want to know, like, I don't know, you talked about sort of having a little dream about maybe trying to choreograph, which, first of all, I don't think it's too late.
No, you're right. It's not. And I think, I wanted to share, and it's somewhat related.
Yeah.
And that when I took this stretch class with Gina, I met a really wonderful woman. Her name is Missy, and she dances for a living at 55.
Oh, that's amazing.
She's an LA Sparks gal.
Oh, old school crew.
Yeah.
I auditioned for that.
Did?
I auditioned for it when, I'm 41 actually, but I auditioned for it when I was 39 because the auditions were at C-Spot, and Susan...
It was?
It's weird because I was going to C-Spot and I didn't know about it because of that. It's because one of my roommates used to work at when it used to be called Staples Center.
Okay.
And so they sent her emails, and she got an email about the auditions, and she sent it to me, and I was like, this is at my studio. And then I asked Susan, I was like, is this the auditions are here? She's like, yeah, you should do it. I'm like, but I'm 39. I'm like, should I do the younger one? She goes, that one's really hard. I was like, she goes, no, you should do the 40 and over because it doesn't matter if you're 39. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So actually, it was such a crazy,
was it hard? What was the experience like?
It was kind of hard. So those dancers are good. Yeah. It's not just like, I'm sure you know from your friend or whatever, but...
I mean, it was a stretch class, so I'm...
Oh, okay, you haven't. Okay. No, they're really good, and a lot of them have done it, like, every year. And so everybody has to audition again, but, I mean, a good majority of them are probably going to get in it again because they are really good have good experience. Yeah. I actually, like, kind of went, like, not having a clue how it was going to go. And literally, I was like, how am I going to if I even make it for this, how am I even going to do it with my job? Because, like, you had to get to the games, like, pretty early. And, like, so I didn't know how it was going to work. So I had a little bit of stress. I'm like, whatever. I'm not going to actually make it. I'm just going for the experience, you know? But then I went through a few rounds the first day. And I ended up getting a call back. And I was like... which was so exciting. But then I was like getting stressed because I was like, wait, what if I get it? I don't know if I can really do it. So it was a weird experience. Like, I loved the first day of auditions. It was really fun. It was like hyped up, and they were pretty strict of like, stomp harder, and they just wanted so much energy. And then it was fun, but then the second day I worked on it all night to like make it perfect, because they were like, we want to see the same dance again because we want to see how good you can make it. And I really worked at it. But then I got to the callback, and it took so long because they were doing interviews and all these things. I don't know how many hours it was that a bunch of us were in the one room at C Spot because they were holding the auditions in the other room, and we were practicing so much that I ended up being in the last group.
Oh no.
And so I had to wait so long to go. I over practiced.
Yeah.
I'd already practiced all night. I had it the day before. And then I perfected it that night, and then I practiced it a million times. And then somebody who had already been in the crew like was trying to give me tips, and I think she was trying to be helpful, but she was just like telling me like, yeah, on the team, like, or in the crew, like, you have to have high energy, like, the whole game. It's not just, like, when you're dancing. It's, like, you're dancing on the side, and even when you're not dancing. And she was, like, telling me all this. She's like, make sure you have, like, really high energy. I was, like, I don't know. I was getting, like, really, like, oh, my gosh, do I want to do this? Like, I like contemporary.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, gosh. That's interesting.
Like, it was hip-hop, you know, and I do kind of like hip-hop, but I was, like, wow, this is a lot of energy. So, I mean, that's a long story to be, like, basically, I started getting very stressed by the time I finally, like, went with my group. After, like, 3 counts, I forgot everything. Like, in front of the people judging us. I was so embarrassing. I couldn't even jump back in because I don't know.
Yourself
my
out.
brain just went crazy.
Yes.
And I just kind of stood there and moved around for the whole entire thing. And then it just ended, and I was like, I was like, I can't. It was like super embarrassing, but at the same time, I felt like relieved because I was like, okay, I'm not going to get in it. I think I didn't want it. I kind of didn't want it.
Self-sabotage.
It was weird, but I didn't actually self-sabotage. I did want to do a good job.
Of course.
But I don't know, maybe subconsciously, like, I'm not sure, but I did feel relieved. I was like, that was embarrassing, but I'm also kind of relieved.
You got the clarity that you needed.
Anyway, that's a long story, but it is a cool thing, though.
Yeah, no, that's such a good perspective.
Dancers.
I'm glad you shared all that. But to me, it just gave me the inspiration that you're never too old to
totally
go after whatever you want to do. The fact that she just makes a living, she gets paid to dance. I'm like, that's awesome.
It doesn't pay, like, a lot, but it does pay. And I'm sure there's ways that people can make it work. But also, to give you encouragement, I have another friend who I interviewed on this, and she didn't start getting into dance in a serious way with classes and things till probably in her 50s or 60s.
Really?
And she books commercials pretty often. Like,
Amazing.
She is retired, so it's not like she's like, I don't think that she's counting on this money.
Right.
But she was in like a commercial that was played on the Super Bowl during the Super
cool.
Bowl. She's like booked all these different music videos.
Amazing.
She did performances with Ellie Unbound. That's kind of how she started to get going with performing. But she does have a unique kind of look. But mostly she just has a passion for dance, and she's still growing in it. She's still growing and picking up choreography and struggles.
That.
But she's so fun to watch because she loves it.
Yeah.
And I think when people really love dance, it shines versus people that maybe are tired of it, or maybe they have been doing it for their job, but some of those people want to do the opposite thing where they try something different.
Right.
You know, it's just we're all in different places.
Right.
But I think you should totally be encouraged, and like,
I love that.
Not a lot of people want to choreograph. I ask people about that a lot on the podcast, and a lot of people have no interest in that. So I think even if they love dance, so I think if you have some interest and you have a little bit in the
I feel like
past,
there's like some untapped potential.
Yeah.
You know, because I especially when I find a song I like, and we talked about this before class about freestyling, used to mortify me.
Yeah.
Like, just not my jam at all. And I think that's what I've been focusing on in the last year, is finding that liberation in dancing freely and not being so constricted by the movement.
Me too.
So I've been making progress with that. I've been getting over like the just mental blocks that come with that, and worrying about what you look like, and going more with how it feels. And one of the things that I think has been very helpful, I don't know if you've ever heard of Ecstatic LA. On
I don't
Sundays,
think so.
it's like silent disco. So you have a headset, and you just go dance freely on the beach.
Oh, it's on the beach? Yeah. That's fun.
It's so fun.
Okay. I think that the silent disco thing, I don't know. I don't understand the hype of it. It does kind of sound fun on the beach, but it's just like, wouldn't it be more fun if the music was just playing and everyone could hear it?
But you know what? I think it's because it's so, like, it's so amplified in your headset. And it's like you're having your own party.
Okay.
And I think there are different venues that you can have different music going to different rooms. So, like, you don't like the playlist that you're hearing. I've never done that. Okay. I'm actually going to go on Saturday.
Okay.
To, I think it's at the golf course in, it's like by Marina Del Rey.
Okay. Playa Vista or Playa Del Rey or...
Oh, my God. Living here almost 20 years, you think I'd like be better at
I'm like that too.
Del Mar golf course or something.
Okay.
They have a silent disco on Saturday that I'm going with my family.
Fun.
Yeah, they throw in like boa constrictors and stuff. Like there's a guy that brings his big snakes.
Your husband and son are like, okay, we'll go to that.
I just, you know what, for me in general, I love just life experiences.
Yeah.
So even we made an agreement within our family, like we're all about experiential. We don't want to do gifts for like birthdays and Christmas and whatever. Like we have a bucket list. And so I'm always like, we always find the things that I think are unique to the area.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
So we're going to do that on Saturday, kind of as like a somewhat birthday week thing. But yeah, the one on the beach is so lovely, like to dance in the sun and listen to music.
That does sound fun.
You can't actually hear the music if you know, in that way.
On the beach especially.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I've seen it more like when people are in like a room.
Yeah, see, I don't get that. I don't
But yeah, on the beach it does sound pretty cool.
And Del Mar is like also outside. It's a golf course. So that would be very disruptive to the neighbors.
Yes,
especially
that's
on
true.
the beach because you can't really get the kind of sound quality that you would get inside. It's very fun. I had my feet in the surf. Like, you know, I was very timid and I felt very introvert when I first did it, and I had like my hat on and I was like keeping it really small, and then by the end my arms were just flailing.
Nice.
And I was like, who am I?
I love that. I feel like that's sort of my growth too, of just like with improv and just like feeling a little, I wouldn't say I'm 1,000,000% free yet with it when
Same, but it's a work in progress.
Getting there.
Yeah,
it's definitely more than I used to be.
Yeah,
I'm starting to actually enjoy it, which before I was just like, when is this part over?
Yeah, no, seriously, super relatable.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that, you know, but like it's leaning into that kind of growth and being uncomfortable, that you really get to know yourself better and you can like just evolve into a different version of yourself.
I was gonna ask you if there were any other goals you had for dance. Well, not that I know choreography isn't necessarily like your goal, but like I was gonna ask if you had any goals for dance, or if you don't, or if there's something else you wanted to share. I know I had given you like some questions. If there was something else you want to talk about to kind of wrap it up, just whatever.
You know, I think I'm gonna take it back to use it or lose it.
Yeah.
You know, and if there's something that you've always wanted to try or to do, like there's never a better time than the present.
Yeah.
Like, if you keep coming up with excuses for why you're not doing it, then you're just doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that you've had a curiosity about. I guess it's just staying curious in life, no matter what. We're never done growing, evolving, seeing new perspectives, and to me, dance is just one of those modalities that I just keep discovering about myself. It could just be with a new teacher, a new class, a new style of dance. And I think that's why it's so dynamic for me. I've never been able to do a job that does the same thing day in and day out. I've always needed variety. And I've always found that with my dance life.
Yeah, that's so true. There's just always a way to... Dance never really gets boring because you could just try a new class then, try a new teacher, do a new thing with it.
Right.
Like there's so much out there.
It's like watching a new TV series.
Yeah.
But those end eventually. So for me, taking dance class every week is sort of just living my own dance series, you know, that I get to just experience it every week and find out what I've got in store. These awesome choreographers coming in with new inspirational pieces and new music, and it's such a delight.
Yeah. So true. I couldn't put it any better. Well, this was so fun,
Thanks
Kristen.
for having me.
Really went by so quickly.
I know, I'm so honored.
But yeah, so thanks for being on it. Thanks for telling me about this awesome class. That was so fun. And thank you guys for listening. Please like and follow and subscribe and review and all those things. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Keep dancing.
Yeah.
Dance, 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 dance.